Hello and welcome to Pardon the Interception, Season 33, Week 13, with your hosts, myself, Leah Wood.
And Nick Taylor.
Myself, Simon Wood.
And let's have a look at the conference championships this week across all of the leagues.
Wait a minute. We're missing a gym ball.
Are we?
There it is.
Oh, surprise appearance. So, starting off with the GFL, looking at the scores here. Wraiths Black Knights we discussed as being close. Both myself and Nick backed the Knights to win this one at home. But,
rookies. Absolute rookies.
Simon back in TO was definitely the correct call here as he managed to win a 3-point victory on the road.
They're not called the Win Waifs for nothing.
Exactly.
And then we did all call the Quake. The Wildcats have had a great run, but unfortunately the Quake were just too much for them to. Were just too much of them having a nice 28-point win. In terms of bowl predictions, Nick, unfortunately, you completely missed out here. Simon, you got the Wraiths correctly, and I got the Quake correctly. So you won in terms of predictions this week, Simon, and then we are equal closest with predictions for the teams in the bowl. Any comments on the games this week before we move on to the bowl?
So the Wind Waifs were relatively lucky, I think.
I was impressed by the Quake this week. They looked pretty dominant.
Oh, they absolutely dominated the Wildcats.
Yeah.
It was mad.
But were they the ones they won 38-10? Did they have like multiple turnovers as well in that game and still won relatively easily?
Yes.
Yeah. Very impressive from the Quake this week.
Simon, anything from yourself?
Nope.
So, in terms of the bowler game,
no logos.
Attack of the no logo teams. So, looking at the bowl games, whose turn is it to go first this time? Nick, you are leading the charge in the GFL.
I'm going with the Quake this week. Very good last week. I think they're gonna do it this week.
Simon,
do you need to ask me?
with the Waifs.
Obviously, the Wind Waifs. Never bet against Dave Russell.
I've got to go with Dave Russell this week. Unfortunately, I believe it's the only way.
It's the he's the anti-Quake, the anti-Hulk. I mean,
the Incredible Milk.
The Incredible Milk.
An in-joke between me and my brother there. Right. Anything else before we move on to the Atlantic?
Get some logos on your helmets.
It's Dave's tradition to be logoless. Has
It's
Dave ever had a logo?
It's
long
much
lost brother of
easier.
Legolas. That logoless.
When he trades in his players, he just has to remove the decals from the helmets. They come with much simpler.
Has Dave ever had a logo? Answers on a postcard.
Don't think he has, but we can ask the GFL community that question. So
let's bully him into getting one.
In terms of the Atlantic, I took a shot here and got both of the games wrong. The Stingrays narrowly beating the Sharks away from home. I believe if this fixture was the other way around, the Sharks would have comfortably won with the home field advantage they have. And the Spitfires, I want to call it an upset, but I don't think we can call it an upset. I think I was just being a little bit blue sky thinking when I was expecting the Spartans to go all of the way with this. However, we did all choose the Spartans to win, but Nick was the only person that chose the Stingrays to win. Simon, anything that jumps out here?
To be fair, it wasn't the blue sky thinking. You just weren't looking at the sky. The Spitfire just come in and
we did say the Spitfires. They've got the aerial advantage here.
Exactly.
over the Spartan soldiers.
Food all over.
Please
I
say
think
they
it's-
won with their passing game. They
Oh,
also
yeah.
did.
Well, I think the big thing here is sort of what we alluded to before, where you lose the first game because the Spitfires lost to the Spartans in the regular season, and that gives you more impetus to put a game plan together to win this game. Whereas the Spartans, you can they've obviously put a good game plan together, but you do feel a little bit more comfortable with your game plan, and therefore you sort of run it back a little bit.
True that.
Anything else before we move on to looking at the bowl?
The Sharks Stingrays game was a great game. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, pretty good.
Scardino had quite the game, if I remember correctly, even though he was on the losing side. Did a bit of running, did a bit of passing. The usual.
Okay. Moving on to the bowl. So, Simon.
Ooh. Interesting, isn't it?
Is a very interesting game.
You always ask me, the hardest one. I'm gonna go with the Spitfires. I'm gonna go with Mr. Affinity himself.
So,
You can do it, Greg.
in terms of bowl predictions, Simon, you actually chose the Stingray Spitfire as the bowl. I went with the Avalanche Rapier, so I was super wrong. And Nick went with the Stingrays Rapiers, who was 50% wrong. I am calling the Stingrays for the bowl, however. Nick.
The deciding vote. Don't know with this one. I'm gonna go Stingrays.
Anything can
But
happen
I'm
in the
not
next half
confident.
hour. I think I've made that joke before, but hey.
I'm gonna go Stingfires.
Stingfire.
I'm going Spit Rays.
Stingfire, isn't that after a really bad curry? Anybody got anything else before we move on to the Riveting League?
Let's go to the Riveting League.
So, looking at this, I don't think anyone chose the Titans to win. They did not. Titans had an excellent season, but the Rivets are just too much.
The Titans may well be the second best team in the Big Sky. We just won't know.
Yep, it is definitely possible.
Well, they usually say remember the Titans, but these ones might not be remembered.
And then I'm pretty sure that
Tripson did the business.
Tripson did get the business done here. So it was a Davies Tripson battle. Davies 9.7 yards a carry with 321 yards, but not enough to win. In what is a blowout game in terms of score, but looking at the stats, that score should have been a lot closer.
I think this came down to touchdowns versus field goals. You look at the Buccaneers, it's 3-3-10. The Hornets gone 14-14-7. Made a huge difference just getting into the end zone.
Yes, and that's pretty much Tripson being a running back with 16 yards average per catch and only a 31-yard long.
He does have a running touchdown though. With his
Yep.
5 yards, is that? Boom.
5 carries for 5 yards for 3 carries. Yeah, just going to punch it in.
And then their other running back, was it the other running back, 8 yards or 4 carries for 2 touchdowns. Well, the quarterback had that. There we go. Just got to do the business when you're 2 yards out.
But yeah, the Hornets doing what Tripson does, and so both Nick and myself chose the Hornets Rivets to win. Simon, you backed the Bucks.
Back to Davies. He had a great performance.
He did have a very good game, just couldn't convert those threes into sevens. Anything before we move on to looking at the bowl?
I thought you were going to say before we move on to the sea.
What's the point of looking at the bowl? Come on, Lee.
Rivets.
Congratulations, comrade,
Because
on your 17th bowl win.
it allows me to say that I chose the Rivets Hornets as the two teams to
Oh,
make the bowl.
The ulterior motive.
Does it
I've
really
got it.
matter who the Rivets are playing?
Probably not.
There is something we do need to check.
What's that?
How many games in a row they've won?
How many injuries the Rivets have?
It's fair point. 2 Bs?
Not enough is the answer to that question.
Not enough.
After what
This-
happened last year in the bowl, I actually want to see what the Hornets have as well. Let's have a look at the preview. Because if Tripson's out.
All right.
It's going to be an interesting one because if there was a weakness to the Rivets defense, it might be passing.
It might be a receiving running back.
Yeah. Like if there is a weakness to that defense, and like they've given up, it's really difficult to say. They've given up a lot more yards passing than they have rushing.
I do like the way you're trying to justify backing the Hornets.
Right, let's click on the Rivets and click history, Lee.
The Rivets haven't lost for 4 seasons, right?
Let's just do that, right? And let's
Have
count the
they-
number of games in a row they've won. Right, so that's 13, 26, 39.
Oh, bad season there.
That 39 plus the 12 in this season. So that's a 51 game winning streak.
Yep.
I'll have you know.
Okay, so I get to go.
You're
first
trying
with who I'm
to
choosing.
say that the team on the 51 game winning streak is not going to win. I don't
Now let's
believe
look-
you.
Now let's look at the
Right.
Hornets winning streak.
Yes.
I am so Simon. You are a mathematician. There are 2 results in a playoff game. You either win or you lose. So let's assume it's a 50-50 percentage. It doesn't matter how many games you've won or before. You've still got a 50% chance of winning and 50% chance of losing.
It's 50-50. Either you win
It's
or you
always
lose.
50-50. Yeah.
Well, no,
And-
because in the regular season you can also draw. So
You've also got a 50-50 chance of spontaneously combusting in the next 10 seconds.
you either do or you
You either
don't.
will or you won't.
Yeah. Yeah, their winning streak's not quite as big.
No.
Have these teams ever actually played?
Yeah, they played last season by the looks of it. On
That'll be a good
preview,
thing
I
to
think.
look at.
In
Doesn't
week
look like-
4.
Click on the game. Let's have a look. Look at the stats.
Let's have a wee
Could
butchers.
trips and run all over them. Catch all over
No,
them.
he can't run all over.
Not particularly.
He was averaging 10 yards catch.
Hey, but you can't get the ball to him much more than that, probably.
I mean, the big thing is you have to stop the Rivets rush game, which just looks pretty good, right?
Mm.
Is Monk still playing? That's the question. So it's a different rusher.
Yeah, but they're like, where are they in the league? Top 5 rushing.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't know. It's a long way of saying I'm back in the Hornets because somebody has to. Tripston all the way.
I have finally worked out the big problem with the Rivets. And it is their original coach. It finally makes sense.
Okay, let's have a look at their original coach.
That's where the problem lies.
It was Simon Sharp, was it?
Yeah. Perennial loser of the Simon Bowl.
Fair
And
enough.
that's where the problem started. You also got Kevin in there,
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
okay.
running away from the Avalanche because he, can't take it anymore.
So, Nick, which team are you backing?
Rivets.
Simon.
Rivets.
Just makes it all that
Next.
sweeter, if I'm right.
I'll be honest. If I lose that, I'll be happy. See, I'd be more disappointed if I'm correct.
Whole of Gridiron will be happy.
Right. The Continental. So, Simon, you backed the Renegades and the Westies. Managed
Well
to get
played.
both these games correct. I went with the Thunderbirds and the Westies. Unfortunately, got one of them wrong. Nick, Thunderbirds and Bombers.
Well, I think that was my bold prediction or something. So back it.
Correct, it was. Yep, I had Monarch's Destruction, so I was completely out. Simon had Thunderbirds Destruction, so we got none of the bowl teams right in our predictions for this one. The Renegades Thunderbirds game was as close as I think we expected it to be. The Westies Bomber game also close. These were two very close games, and both of the away teams winning as well.
Yeah. Two impressive results.
I had faith in Gary for a few weeks, I think, because he can't be as bad as the Hulk in both the leagues, right?
We do know he knows how to throw a game, though. So,
yeah. Has anybody got anything else to talk about these games?
They were two great games. Well worth going and having a watch. I watched all of the games this week, so those ones were both well up there in terms of quality.
Okay. So, Nick, who are you backing in the bowl?
Renegades.
Simon.
I'm backing the Renegades just because the Westies offense is so one-dimensional, whereas the Renegades are very two-dimensional. So.
I'm backing the Westies because why not?
Yeah.
Right, anything else before we move on to the Delta?
Should be another good game. After last week's games.
The Renegades could blow him out, though. I don't know. We'll find out.
I actually think the Renegades looked pretty good last week. So, yeah. Then the Westies were impressive, beating the Brooklyn Park Bombers.
True. Yeah, it's a difficult one to call. Both the teams had very good games in difficult conditions. Right, on to the Delta. So the only real interesting game here was the Cougars at the Lone Stars. Cougars tried to hold on as best they could, but the Lone Stars were just too good a team for four of them. And the Cougars are either the second or third best team in the league, I think. I took a massive punt against the Katanas, thinking that they either weren't going to pass or just going to go all out on the run, because it was the only way. The only way I could win was if Lee out game planned himself and messed up his team orders against me, which unfortunately he didn't do. So, meh. I still am happy with where my season ended up.
Yeah, you got to try something in those sort of games, haven't you?
You
know you're a bit of an underdog and just sort of go for something different.
I think, as I alluded to either on the podcast or in our chat afterwards, there was basically no expectations on me to do anything in that game apart from turn up. So it was win-win for me. If I won, it was great. I'd get good job me. If I lost, it'd be meh, you're against the Katanas. What on earth are you gonna do? And another Lone Stars Katana Bowl. But I think teams are getting closer to them from a mixture of them coming down a couple of pegs and more teams moving up. Not me, because I don't know how the hell I made it this far with the Jets, but the Cougars are definitely getting close. Simon, any comments from yourself as you play in this league?
No, it was kind of largely what I expected. I wanted the Cougars to win, but Aaron's the wannabe Dave Russell. So he's getting there. And then, yeah, you're always going to lose. Come on.
Nick, you chose Cougars Patriots for the bowl. Simon, Cougars Katanas. I chose Lone Stars Katanas for the bowl. In terms of winners, I chose Lone Stars Jets for this week, so I got one. Nick, Cougars Katanas, you got one. Simon, you went with the Lone Stars Katanas because someone had to choose that.
The thing I found really interesting about your game, this was the thing I looked at, is Lee playing with a rather serious injury on his team.
Yes, I found it odd that he kept that running back in.
Because he has no other running backs, and he didn't want to change.
Didn't want to
formation
change
over the
formation,
weekend.
which is what I was kind of hoping he would change formation rather than play that running back. But he's instead gone with the optimizer, playing him. Because has he got an F or something?
He's got an E. Oh, yeah, I think he had an F, and he went down to an E.
Yeah, I mean, with an F, there's no way you should be allowed to play.
We should go scroll back up a bit, Lee. I look at his most serious injury.
Yeah.
Go up. Look at his most serious injury.
Yeah.
It's definitely his most serious injury.
I mean, I'm just ignoring your pun, but yeah, an F's 100%.
It's a very serious injury.
It's 100%. I know. I'm trying to remember the difference between F and G.
I think it might be 75 or something.
Yeah. But yeah, so B's 10, C's 20, D's 30, E's 50. Yeah, F, so it must be 75.
Yeah.
So in terms of predictions for the winner of the Snorefest Bowl, Simon.
Lee, you can't call this the Snorefest Bowl. That's the fucking Big Sky, mate.
Oh, sorry.
From same two teams sort of
as I
perspective.
think they picked up on the meteor this week, the clowns versus the idiots.
There we go.
Simon, you can say whatever you like because Aaron automatically ignores everything you say.
Well, that's fair.
He's actually on record as saying that.
To be fair, have you taught him that approach? It's a rather sensible one to go for. He's been getting some mentorship from you, obviously.
So, Simon, you going with the La Jolla Clowns or the Frome Idiots?
Oh, good question. Oh, you have to come to me first on like the hardest one.
I'm going to go Katanas. There you go.
My heart wants Lee to win. I don't know why. Maybe because I just don't. But I think Aaron's too good. Annoyingly, I think the Lone Star's just too good this season. I don't think Lee can hold it.
It's the week where the two teams that tanked in the G get punished. Gary Lyon's going to lose. Aaron's going to lose. And it's going to be because they tanked their G season.
So, I honestly think the team that are going to win this bowl, it's going to be a surprise. So it's going to be taking a script out of the WWE Attitude Royal Rumble era. So the winner's actually going to be the Silverbacks.
Nice.
It's going to be a draw.
Right out of nowhere.
In all seriousness, I'm going with the Lone Stars. I just think they're better than the Katanas this season. I would have liked to see the Cougars in the bowl. I think I really would like to know who would win out of the Cougars Katanas.
Do you remember? It's a shame we don't have those exhibition games anymore. You know, just like schedule those off-season games and just see who, you know, those CFC versus, well, not CFC, but you know, one side of the conference versus the other side of the conference. You don't quite get to see. Be pretty cool. But
yeah, because I want to know if the Cougars, like the Cougars Katanas game would tell me how much better the Lone Stars are than everyone else in the league. Yeah.
Well, I guess you find out this week as well to some extent.
Yeah. Right. Anything else before we move on to the onto the Empire?
Let's check out the Empire.
Right. So very, very close game between the Kings and Storm, and then the High Hunters. Unfortunately, having Postman Pat go on strike, it seems.
The King Storm game was a great game, I have to say. It's close all of the way. The Storm just got there.
In terms of predictions from last week, Nick, you went with the Hunter Storm. Simon, you went with the Red Bulls and Storm, so you managed to get both the games correctly. And I went with the Red Bulls and the Kings.
I think the Storm Hunters was my bold prediction.
In bold prediction, Hunter Storm, that was indeed Nick's bold prediction. I had the Red Bulls and the Rough Rangers. So between me and Nick, we're halfway there. And Simon went with the Jaguars Storm. So we didn't do too badly on the 8th.
No, it's because it's the best league. watch my game in the A and then I go to the E and watch all the games in the E.
Oh,
It's
come
become
on,
a
Nick.
spectator sport now.
We all know you go and check the E first.
I do genuinely check my game first. But there's not much in it. I will say there's not much in it.
I'm not that convinced.
Gridiron's becoming a spectator sport for me. Just go watch the other leagues.
Anything else before we move on to the bowl?
It's kind of how I sort of expected it to be. I thought the Red Bulls have been very good this season and would probably have enough to beat the Hunters. Hunters didn't really turn up. That Storm Kings game was a great game.
Right. I am going to back the Red Bulls for the bowl. Not entirely sure why. I think because I chose them in the bowl. The Storm are very good and could easily take the game, but as Nick alluded to, the Red Bulls have been doing very, very well, and I've been liking the way they've been playing. Nick,
Well, I mean, this one's really tight. What were their? Can we look at the preview? What are their season records in this one? So, Red Bulls are going for the perfect season. Storm lost one game.
it's not the perfect season. It's called the Conrad Whittingham season.
A riveting season.
That's when you get a rule created just to try and kind of hamper you a bit. The Conrad Whittington rule. That's what it should be called.
Has been brought in, I believe.
And it should be called the Conrad Whittington rule.
And it's Theo Whittingham in this one. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
So maybe he gets half of the rule for having the wrong surname.
This one's a really tough one. Two very good defenses.
Look at the injuries.
I think the Red Bulls are going to pull it out the bag. I think their offense is
that
going to do just
OT?
enough.
Is that OT a left tackle?
No, he's a special teamer.
Okay. So you're going with the Red Bulls. Simon, are you going with the Storm or are you going to make it a clean sweep?
Yeah, I'm going for the Storm because it's 4 rings versus 0. You know, Theo's already had 4 bowls. Colin's had 0. I want Colin to win, because I think Theo gets some splash damage from Conrad.
Like it's a bit of splash damage.
He gets splash damage, No one wants to see Conrad win, and then you're related, so you're gonna get some hate, I'm afraid. So, come on, Colin. But I think Theo's gonna win. But I want Colin to win.
Right. Anything else before we start to wrap up?
Kendall's going down. Just want to let him know that.
Is he going to Frowntown?
This is in the Pro Bowl in the Atlantic?
He's going to Browntown in the Atlantic. I'm gonna, downtown Dave Brown.
Like to remind people that when it comes to playoff games, especially playoff games, please don't post spoilers in the comments for the other games because it makes it quite sad when you watch one game, read the stats, and then you see the result for the other game before you've watched it. It can dampen some of the comms. Also seen that the Redskins have released their new name, or what used to be called the Redskins, then the Washington football team, now the Washington Commanders. So I think we should get Jeff Brown to rename Plainsfield, should automatically be renamed to the Plainsfield Commanders. With that, good luck to all of those in the bowl. Good luck to all those looking forward to the draft. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.